Welcome back, guys. I hope you're going to enjoy this one. We have a beautiful brand new Ford F150 Tremor edition in for our new car prep and a 2-year ceramic coating. So the truck was delivered this morning and it was kind of raining out, so it's a little gross. Kind of hard to tell because it is still wet, but we're going to wash it, decon it, polish it, and apply that coating. And we are applying a coating onto the paint. Any of the black textured plastic here, I'll show you what we use and how we do that. It's pretty simple and straightforward. We're also going to polish and apply a windshield coating as well, and also coat the rest of the glass. Now the grille here is this satin finish plastic. This can just be coated with the same coating that the paint is coated with. Same goes with the headlights, but the face of the wheels, we're going to put a wheel coating on there that's specific for wheels. Actually, the coating that we're going to put on there can go on wheels and this type of plastic trim. So let's get started on this. Stay tuned, you'll see the process. Enjoy the video. And if you're curious about any of the products or the tools that we use, check out the description down below. Or if there's something that's not there that you see in the video, just shoot me a message here or comment and ask me, and I'll see if I can put a link in there for you. Don't forget to check out carsupplieswarehouse.com. You can use code Miranda10 and get 10% off. Now the coating we're going to use today, I've been using the Hyper Clean Dose for a while because I have this big bottle of it. So we're going to be using this as our 2-year coating, as well as Car Pro Deluxe. Now this is for wheels and trim. I also have Geon trim that works amazingly on the black plastic trim. And I did have G-Technic C4, which I love, but I'm all out of it. So I gotta get some more. Now, how do I choose which coating to use at any given time? Well, it doesn't really matter to me. Basically, I use what I have on hand, and whatever the coating says, if it says it's a 1-year, a 2-year, a 3-year, 5-year, whatever, that's what I use. Even though I am G-Technic and Geon accredited, it doesn't mean that I have to use those coatings all the time. I switch back and forth and I'll use some other coatings. My favorites are those two. And then I do love the Car Pro coatings. That's why I'm using the Deluxe and the wheels and the trim. I also like the Hyper Clean coatings. They're extremely easy to use, and a smattering of other coatings, but those are the major ones that we use. So the AR Blue was leaking oil last week, and I do have a video fixing it, and so far it looks good. It's not leaking. I think there's just some residual in there from inside the little case, but it's not leaking like it was. There was a seal in there, so if you want to check out the repair of that pump, then I'll put it in the card when it does become available or down below. So we're filling our buckets up with hot water, and we also got some new tools in from Suds Lab. Now these may not be available yet to purchase, but they sent it to us to use. Check out this. I know Carlos from Miranda Detailing is gonna love this because he loves orange. So this is a giant, thick, twisted loop drying towel. Oh yeah, we're gonna use that today. And we also have a couple of other goodies from Suds Lab. We have some applicators, we have these interior little scrubbies. So I don't know if we'll use that today, but we'll probably use the applicator today. Stay tuned when these become available to purchase. I'll put them in the description in the links. Or if I don't, ask me, and hopefully he'll have them up for sale soon on his website. Or possibly locally at like auto stores or Walmart. got a little bit of grittiness up here though. Yeah, I mean, just a little bit. It's coming right off with the mitt, but I definitely feel it. This truck sits outdoors. And actually, that's why I went with the 2-year coating instead of trying to convince someone to go for 5-year coating or something, because no, it's gonna need to be polished in, you know, 2 years or so anyway. So this wheel brush from Suds Lab, I think it's my new favorite. It is soft, but tons of bristles in there to make it dense enough so that it cleans well. It doesn't seem to like compress and smush down that much. So there's some nice, a nice balance between the softness and the aggressiveness of the bristles. So yeah, I'm happy with that. Nice. Whoa, it dries perfectly. Sometimes these towels need to be washed, sometimes they don't. We got another towel from GT Shine, which I will be showing in some other videos, and that towel is awesome, super thick, but I think that one you definitely need to wash first, and then, because it was leaving a little bit of residue. This might also, because we just started using it, so we'll see. But usually you want to wash those first. If you're not worried about residue in the paint because you're going to be polishing it anyway, then it doesn't matter. But man, this thing is nice. I love it. Like one swipe and it dries perfectly, soaks up everything. So the exterior is done. I'm going to start on the interior, and the interior is going to be very, very quick and basic because it's brand new, but we are going to protect the interior plastics and leather, and I'll show you what we're going to use for that in a moment. Suds Lab also has a nice selection of brushes. Now, you know that the work stuff brushes are my favorite, but I'm not opposed to trying new brushes. So let's try some of these out. We have these ones, which they call the intensive brush. So it's basically this natural bristle. It's a little bit more coarse, so really good for agitating and cleaning areas. And then we have these softer ones, which I think I'm going to use these ones today. It's really hard to do this with one hand. So the truck is now cleaned and deconned, and I did have to go over it with a clay bar on some sections that had this weird overspray. But now, yeah, it feels nice and smooth. Oh, actually, oh, right there needs a little bit more. So I'm gonna go back over that area. Needs just a little bit more, but it had this weird overspray. Oh, and right here, this little curvature. Had a weird overspray on it. Don't know where that came from. Oh, maybe right here too. So after it's dry, I have to go back over it and make sure that overspray is gone, because that's not cool. So as we look at the paint itself, it's not horrible. And once again, this is paint enhancement. You're not looking for complete swirl removal. It has a little bit of swirlage going on there. So you just normal wash marring. We're going to use the NSP 45 or 95 and get a lot of that out. We'll see. She already just polished this area. You're just seeing a little bit of residue, but it's going to look really nice. It's beautiful black metallic paint. The areas that need it the most, of course, are always the pillars. And I usually try to get these more like 90%. And the rest of it, it's really not bad. That's very, very minor wash marring. So that should come out really easily. So when you look at the paint after you use those NSP polishes, you're just going to notice some residue. It's very minor, and that residue will disappear once you coat it. So you see right there, that little bit of like residue hazing, that's all that is. That's not swirls in the paint or marring or anything like that. That's all that is just a little bit of the residue, and that actually removes easily when you just wipe it down and coat it, and then you're good to go. So the paint is looking really good. There's little tiny little swirl, you know, tick marks in there, little lines and things, but those are tiny, very minor, and you barely see that with the naked eye. You just see it with the high-powered lights like this. So the paint is turning out pretty good, and it is kind of hard paint, actually. It's not soft paint at all. So what I did is I stepped it up to the 150 NSP, the yellow Rupes pad, and a couple of passes, and it's clearing up, it's looking good, it's getting rid of the major swirling and hazing and defects and just leaving the little tiny things behind, which isn't a big deal because this isn't a full correction, this is a paint enhancement, and that's what we're going for. This is going to be a driven truck, not a garage queen, so we're not going for 100% correction, and that's not what this job, this service entails anyway. But overall, it is looking incredible, so let's continue, let's move on, and then we're going to show you the other bits like the plastic trim coating and the glass coating. So we're on to polishing the windshield. Now we don't need to polish the glass on the sides extensively, just deep clean it. We clay barred it, and that's really all that's needed for the side glass. But for the windshield, we need a little bit more. This is what gets the brunt of the road grime and junk, and it builds up and it creates this. Now you can see where the wipers actually are wiping, it looks okay. And now what I did is just wiped it down with a damp rag. It actually helps you see what's on the glass. And you can clearly see the distinction here. You see these water spots down here, and where the wipers went, it's better, but we're still going to polish the glass. The polishing of the windshield, the only reason why we do that is just to prep it and to get rid of these water spots here. It's going to strip anything on the glass, deep clean it, and prepare it for a ceramic coating. So we'll show you what it looks like after. So you see what it looks like here with the spots. And what we're using to polish is the microfiber disc and P&S Clarity Cream glass polish. And that's all you need to prep it. It's a new vehicle, so we don't need to do extensive water spot removal, but that's all you do. And what I like to do is just mist the pad with water. It gets it lubricated a little bit because this stuff can dry out quickly on you, and just polish the glass. And the polishing does not need to be extensive, and this can still be wet, that's totally fine. We're just going over it a couple of passes to remove these water spots, and I'll show you what you want the glass to look like. And you want to get all the way up to the edges, but you do not want to bump that pad against the rubber or the paint. So just grab a microfiber applicator and go around the edges and get the rest of those water spots. And here's what you want the glass to look like with a damp towel, just with water. You want the glass to look completely flat. The water is just going to hang on the glass with no spotting, no streaks, just completely flat. So all the protection is stripped, the water spots are all stripped away, and you're left with nice, clean, flat glass. The water will just hang on there and not beat up or anything. That's how you know your glass is completely stripped and prepped and ready to go. Now I am going to dry this. I'm going to use a glass cleaner, something with an alcohol base in there to dry everything, and then we'll coat it.